Excellent. So for some of you, this will be a little bit of a recap. We saw some of these things at our last meeting, but there are some new folks here. So the Home and School Association, actually, just let me go back here and say our goals for this year is to support teachers, foster fun, and build community. And we have certainly been off to a strong start of showing appreciation. We did a welcome back breakfast for the teachers. We did a special thank you celebration and appreciation for Mr. Boyer. We've been having fun and building community. Pretzel sales are now on Wednesdays from 3 to 3:45. I'll just put in a plug now and then another plug later for volunteers to help out if you come to for pickup. It would be love to have your help with the pretzel sales. Kids love them and generates a little bit of money for the HSA. We had over 3 dozen orders for the swag sale, which was a great start, and we'll be doing another swag sale come this spring. And what's up next is we have some fun things in terms of building community and some fun for the kids. So November 8th, if you haven't already heard, from 5:30 to 7:30, we have the school dance. For those of you, and certainly parents are welcome to come with their kids to the dance. As the parents of middle schoolers, your children might not want you there. Something that some of us may be familiar with. And we also know that people are traveling to SLAMS. So we are thinking about having a parent meetup at Two Locals Brewery and Liberty Kitchen, which is just around the corner from the school. So as you get to the bottom of that registration and permission slip form, there's an opportunity to volunteer. We can certainly use volunteers to help us. And also you can sign up to say, hey, I'd just like to meet other parents and hang out while our kids are at the dance. So that's coming up November 8th. And great, thanks. Kim is adding information in the chat, and I think some links there too. Picture Day is coming on November 14th. I believe that is a Thursday. And then we're going to have a makeup day on December 5th. There's going to be more information coming out about that to make sure you can register to be able to order pictures. And every student who's there on one of those days will have their photo taken, so we'll have it for the yearbook, which is great. We have big plans for this school year, things that we're raising money for, so everyone knows what we're working toward. We would love to be able to give all of the teachers at the school $100 classroom grants to help them with special things that they might want to do for their kids in class, pizza parties, other celebrations for their class, the kind of things that teachers would normally go out of pocket for. We want to help them out a little bit with. We also want to make sure that we're able to do a few times this year teacher appreciation meals and some teacher appreciation gifts. We're going to try to fund transportation for one field trip for every student. We have the 2 dances, which require a little bit of fundraising for the decorations and whatnot, and then Picture Day and the moving up ceremony. So collectively, ideally, we'll raise $10,000 this year. We'll see. Unfortunately, these things are scalable. Welcome, Aisha. We'll have you introduce yourself in just a moment. But we are setting ourselves some ambitions for this year, and I wouldn't be a good HSA president if I didn't say that every contribution that you make, whether it's $5 or $50 or $500, they all help advance all of these important priorities to show appreciation for our teachers, to help the kids have fun and to build community. So we are now on Cash App and Venmo and PayPal, all ways to contribute. And some ways that we need your help, and we have a QR code up here, and Kim will probably also drop a drop a link in the chat. It would be amazing if someone on this call is a graphic designer or knows a graphic designer. It's probably one of our biggest needs right now. Pretzel Day help every Wednesday from 3 to 3:45. Help sell pretzels. Welcome, Samantha, and we'll have you introduce yourself in just a moment. Very much welcome help with volunteer for the dances. We have the dance coming up, so you can right at the bottom of the permission slip, you can volunteer to help out with that. And then for our teacher appreciation days, the next one will be there's a half day in December. It escapes me which day it is. I think we're targeting that. So all volunteer opportunities, all great opportunities for you to help the school community. So I'm just going to pause here. Two folks joined the call while we were going over this initial material. For those who just joined the call, we went around and did some introductions. We introduced ourselves, the grade that our child is in, and what neighborhood we live in. And so I see Samantha joined. So Samantha, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Hi, I'm Sam Taylor. My son is Avery Taylor. He's in 6th grade, and we are in Germantown.
Awesome. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. And pardon me if I'm not getting your name right, but Aisha?
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Yeah, so it's Aisha.
Aisha.
So I'm Aisha McMullen. My son is Caleb Bynum. He is in the 6th grade. This is our first year here at SLA Middle, and we are in the West Philadelphia area.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. Thank you both for joining us. So next up on our agenda, and hopefully why many of you are here, we're really lucky to have Mr. Boyer going above and beyond, as he so often does, for us and for our kids here to talk about climate at the school. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Boyer, and I don't know if you want to present or
yeah, I was gonna, could I present this way? Because
yeah,
my presentation, I'm sure, will address and answer a lot of questions that parents might have. And I can just breeze through my presentation. But I will make sure I hit on all key points that a lot of people and a lot of parents want to know about, and how I run the school in regards to the climate and culture and the daily operations of the school. So if I present, how do?
Yep, you should be able at the bottom. There should be a present
now.
now.
It says present now. I got you.
You should be able to take over.
Can we see it?
Yep, it's coming up. I can see it.
I'll put it on a slideshow. So I'm gonna breeze through it. My goal always is, can our school be so welcoming and so inviting and so comfortable that every person who walks through our doors believes that they are about to have an amazing experience? That's what I strive for every day. How do I go about creating a positive culture for our students? I believe that when students are not happy or proud, they are not being provided the experience they need. Creating a school where students experience teaching and learning in powerful ways. To improve at sophisticated and complex work requires a culture of public practice and analysis. Adults in school will only engage in public practice when the conditions are right. Leaders set their conditions, and reciprocal accountability is key. And leaders cannot lead what they are not willing to learn. So I'm a firm believer that I should be learning something new every day while being a leader of SLAMS. If I'm not, and that's not just me learning from my staff. That's me learning from your students as well. Because they kind of keep Mr. Boyer up on all the latest information or what's going on in the world. So that's how I try to keep engaged and build positive relationships with our students. So what is a school culture? School culture can be defined as the guiding beliefs and values evident in ways a school operates. School culture can be used to impact all the attitudes, expected behaviors, and values that impact how the school operates. I'm not going to read all the ways that I try to build a positive school culture, but we can look at the slide. And these are some of the ways that I touch on creating a positive school culture at SLAMS. Once I'll click to the next slide. Once everybody can give me like a heads up, I see what I see. Okay. I'm a firm believer that if I go off of these bullet points that I created, this is what a positive school culture looks like. Does anybody have any questions in regards to or think that I can add something to what a positive school culture looks like that they didn't see on the slide, so that if I present again, I can have your input? I'm willing to take any recommendations if possible. And I'll jot them down as we speak. Are we good to go? I don't see any raised hands.
This looks like a great list. Maybe if you could click back.
Click back. Gotcha.
Yeah, one page we could also look at.
I got one raised hand. It's Kim.
Hi, Mr. Boyer. I have a student at another school at Southwark, and so I have a little bit of comparison. And I just want to thank you for the ease that you have contacted me when there have been issues in the past. And I just really want to appreciate that, because sometimes I get an email or just a Class Dojo message, and which requires me to follow up anyway with the phone call. And I know that you're super busy, and I know you have things to do. And I just wanted to thank you for skipping all that and just having a phone call.
No problem.
So thank you.
I feel as though if an issue is brought my way, it's not only important that I have a conversation with the parent to make them aware. I'd rather be the first source that you hear from in regards to anything that deals with your children that I'm aware of. I'll say that I'm aware of. If I'm aware of something, Mr. Boyer is going to address it. If something goes that to my knowledge that I'm not made aware of, I can't address something that I'm not aware of until it gets brought to my attention. I have one more raised hand. Ms. Mahoney.
Mr. Boyer, seeing it in writing where you said that that everyone has a voice, students and teachers,
Yes.
it was sort of a game changer for me and for Finn. That at the other school environments were more like the kids didn't have an opportunity to ever express themselves. So I really, again, I'm thanking you, but I definitely see it coming from you on a day-to-day basis, and it does make a huge impact to the students. That it does set the tone and the culture, and I think that's just like an amazing thing. And I know it's kind of like buried in there a little bit, but that's probably the thing that made the most difference. You know, from Finn going from a traditional environment to SLAMS, and there's always ups and downs, but that whole that they're allowed to have ideas, and it goes throughout the school. It's not just like it's coming from you, but it's coming from everyone. So thank you.
No problem. I have one more. I have two more. Miss Burton.
Thank you. And thank you for your presentation. I was interested to know more about the supporting staff so that we can cultivate this culture, the
Okay.
supporting staff that you have within the school. So I'm interested to know about the behavior specialists or school psychiatrists that are a part of cultivating this culture.
So I'm a firm believer that the whole school environment is not just the climate staff or the psychologists. I'm a firm believer that my teachers, the principal, myself, the counselor, the secretary, my climate staff that I do have, which are student climate staff, the counselor, as I stated, my sped staff as well. All of them were presented this same presentation, and all of them agreed to how I go about creating a positive culture, and all of them, like I offered it open to them as well. Like, do you feel as though anything else should be put on how we could create a positive culture at SLAMS? And they provided their input, but it kind of hit on the key points that I already had. So to me, the whole school staff has to be on board. It's not just specific people.
Thank you. And that sounds good. So it sounds like, or I should ask, do you believe that the school staff has been provided with strategies and tools to, again, cultivate this positive school culture that you're working towards?
Yes, because I do trainings for my staff as well. When I get trained on something new that deals with the climate and culture, I bring it back to my staff and then I train them on it. So this way everybody stays up to date on every single thing. And if there's a person that missed the training, I'll sign them up for a training that we go through with the school district that they might have, that where they can get the information from, and they have to do that training. And I sign off on it when they completed the training, that they received this training and now they know how to go about solving or being involved in the culture of at SLAMS. Did you get that, Ms. Burton?
Thank you.
No problem. One more hand. I got Mr. David
Yeah, David Sambolin.
Sambolin. Yes.
Yeah, question about something that happened last year. My son was deprived of his Chromebook for October, November, December. He got it in January, about 4 months.
Okay.
And this was a disciplinary measure that was imposed upon him because he was wandering the hallways. I did not know about it until I was into month 3. Then it took 1 more month to get his Chromebook.
Okay.
I mean, set consistent discipline. You know, parents have to be informed if discipline is being imposed. My son is very quiet about these things. He hates to criticize people. He did not tell me they took his Chromebook away. They used the Chromebook like every day in class, every day in every class. You know, what he was given was a flyer, which is nowhere near what he needed.
Right.
You know, he needed full participation in class. How do we prevent this from happening in the future?
Now I will say, in regards to Chromebooks, students are and parents are required to review, and I don't know if you reviewed it. Chromebooks, the students think the Chromebooks are theirs. The Chromebooks are the property of the school district of Philadelphia. They're ours. We're the one that we pay for the kids to have a Chromebook. And in the school, in the policy of our Chromebook use, if any student uses the Chromebook in an inappropriate way, we are obligated to take the Chromebook from them, and we can do that. And they go to how we learned in school, paper and pencil. Now, the parent is supposed to be informed in regards to when the kid's Chromebook gets taken. Now, if that wasn't, that could be through a progress note. It'll state, oh, we sent out a progress note. Your child was on a site that they shouldn't have been on, or they're playing video games in class instead of doing work. You should have received a progress
Or
note.
wandering the hallways, for example. You know, it might have been.
So no, wandering hallways is
getting
not
back to class from the bathroom.
Yeah, wandering hallways is not going to get a Chromebook taken. So I do recall. Yeah, so I'm saying I do recall your situation.
I want to set consistent discipline. I want parents to be informed when something like this happens. You know, I understand you're very well intentioned, you know, but I need you to take charge of this. You are Mr. School Climate. So let's have a climate that works.
Now, I will say, I do remember your situation, and I wasn't the person that addressed your situation. Your situation was addressed by Mr. Boyle. So to me, if he's addressing the situation, I let him address his situation, how he's addressed it. But if it was brought to my
did he make you aware of the discipline being imposed?
He usually does.
I'm just gonna pause the conversation here because I want to make sure that we have time for other parents to ask questions, and I also don't think it's fair to the student involved and to the administration involved to be going through a personal incident like this. But I do want to ask, because you do bring up an important point about how are parents informed when there are climate issues at school. Those could be disciplinary issues. Those could be social issues that are happening at school. Those could be security incidents that are occurring at school. Mr. Boyer, could you talk a little bit about maybe each of those categories?
Yeah,
so
I would say,
if
an issue pertains specifically to your child,
mm-hmm.
what should happen now, if it's brought to my attention, what should happen if it's brought to my attention, the teacher should be reaching out first. Now, that could either be a phone call or a progress note in regards to what your child chose to do that day. I receive every progress note that a kid gets, I receive. So I get made aware. If it's something that I feel, some progress notes I don't feel as though I should address. But if it's a progress note that I feel I need to address, guess what? Now I'm pulling the kid in, having a conversation with the kid. Listen, what happened today? Because I'm a firm believer, kids have hiccups. You know what I mean? It's not I'm a firm believer, every kid has hiccups. And we, as staff, we shouldn't be biased against what kids do. If a kid did something one day, they come back, they have a fresh start the next day. You can't hold anything against that kid for what they chose to do yesterday. So when an issue comes to the point where it's in regards to the code of conduct, that's strictly me. I'm calling the parent. I'm letting the parent know, listen, this is what your child did. I usually read off in regards to the code of conduct, what it says I should do and how I'm going to go about this situation. You know what I mean? Usually if it's a first offense, I'm going to be honest. I give the kids a learning experience. Like, I expect you to learn from this situation. Now, if you don't, this is the consequence that you're going to get. And you read it, they read it for themselves, as well as the parents are informed of the consequence. So that's how things get addressed. If an issue comes to me, you're always going to receive a phone call. If the parent don't answer, I'm leave a message, and I'm gonna call every number that's on the kid's contact. Now, if the parent didn't update the kid's contact, most of the time, guess what I do? I go to the kid. Yeah, I tried to call your parent. Yeah, you call them on your phone and see what happens. And that's how, if I didn't get the right number, once I get it from the kid, now I'm gonna update it in the system with the right number now. So I can't say it's not a parent that, if I was made aware of, that they didn't receive a phone call from me.
Sure. And what about, I'm also curious, so obviously there are disciplinary issues, but this is middle school, this is life, right? Also, right? There are also social issues that come up, or maybe concerns that you or a teacher might have about something that's going on with one of our kids that's not necessarily a disciplinary thing, or maybe that's going on interpersonally between our child and another child. How are parents made aware of those, or are they made aware?
They are made aware due to the fact that if it's brought to my attention, I feel as though the parents should be made aware of whatever's going on in regards to their child, due to the fact that I never want a parent to find out something about their kid before the school did. So like when a kid goes, that's why I'm big on building relationships with all my students, because I want them to be able to come to me and say what happened, or go to a staff member and say what happened. So if a staff member doesn't relay it to me, when I speak to that parent, I can then go speak to my staff. Oh, well, so-and-so told me they told you. Why didn't you tell me? Because I don't like being blindsided from anything. So I'm going to address the staff member that forgot to tell me something, and then I'm going to inform the parent on how I'm going to go about solving the situation. Now, usually if I do restorative conversations with two students, if two students have an argument, guess what? But nobody put hands on each other. They're just yelling at each other. We got to have a restorative conference between the two, or a peer mediation between the two, where every student they pick usually one staff member that they feel comfortable with, that's in the meeting with them, and I hold the restorative conference, because I don't want to be the only one in the meeting where they feel as though a student might say, oh, I'm showing favoritism to one student over the other. So they have as I stated, they have a voice where they're able to state how they felt about the situation in a positive way. The other student states how, okay, and then I bring them together. Now, how can we come up with a plan that moving forward, we don't have this issue again? And the school district is real big on restorative practices instead of being so big on suspensions. So that's why I try to go the restorative route first. And if the restorative route doesn't work, then I go to my next stages of discipline. But anytime an issue gets brought to my attention, the parent receives a phone call.
That's great. Did you have more slides?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so let's get back to the slides, and then folks, feel free to raise your hands with.
This is one of my biggest issues that I think all school districts deal with. They want to know, everybody's so quick. Oh, my child's being bullied. I want to categorize what the school district characterizes as bullying. And if it doesn't meet these three expectations, it might meet one, but if it doesn't meet all three, the school district says that I cannot categorize their child as being bullied, but maybe harassed. So bullying, anytime a bullying report gets reported, we have a system on the school district website called Hipster. Bullying reports, usually the parent fills it out or the teacher fills it out, and then the report comes to me or Mr. Boyle. Once the report comes to us, we have 7 days to do an investigation in regards of whatever the report is. In regards of the report, that means you have to interview everybody that was involved, get witness statements from everybody that was involved, if they choose the right one or if they don't. And then you have to upload them into the system in regards of the bullying. Then you have to state what you did at the beginning stages, at the end stages, and what's your final conclusion. Was it harassment? Was it bullying? Then after that, you have to, the parent or anything of that sort has to receive a copy of the investigation. It gets emailed to them, and then they have a right to appeal the situation or see how the school is going to go about addressing it. But bullying, it has to address these three things. It is an aggressive behavior or an intentional harm doing. It is carried out repeatedly over time. It occurs with an interpersonal relationship where, this is the big one, where there is an imbalance of power. Example, one person is physically larger, stronger, or mentally quicker, or socially more powerful. If it does not meet those 3 qualifications, I cannot characterize anything as bullying. I will characterize it as harassment. I'm gonna go to the. Okay, I got a hand raised. I got a couple hands raised, and I knew I'm going to get a lot of hands raised for this one, so I'm ready. We can go with Miss Jen.
Hi, this is actually Mr. Jen, Miss Jen's
Oh, I'm
husband.
sorry.
Sorry. You said that, so harassment, bullying. So what is the difference from the school's standpoint on harassment and bullying, especially in terms of how the students who are found guilty of those 2 things are dealt with?
My next slide, you're going to see the difference between bullying and harassment.
Okay.
I characterize what harassment is compared to bullying.
Well, I'm actually more concerned about like repercussions for the bullying.
Oh, repercussions. I have a slide on that too, where I'm gonna go through the code of conduct, and it's going to tell you what consequences you get for bullying, what consequences you get for harassment.
Okay.
So you want me to tell you right now offhand?
Yeah. Why don't we jump ahead and you can answer that, and then we'll grab the other
Okay.
question.
Let me run to that slide, because I'm gonna be honest. I try to remember them offhand, but it's 32 code of conducts that you got to remember. It's not letting me click on it. Well, I would say for harassment, and bullying, it depends on the grade. So if you are 6 through 12, your first incident in regards of harassment is going to be a 1 to 3 day suspension. Anything over 4 days, I have to get the superintendent's permission to give anything a suspension over 4 days. Now, if it's in regards of bullying, it's going to be the same thing. 6 through 12, 1 to 3 day. For 5th grade, they're more like a 1 to 2. But if the second time, you can go to a disciplinary and hearing referral, or compared to the severity, you can deal with expulsion.
And just so we can get a sense of like scale at SLAMS, how many of these like incidents that have resulted in suspension were there?
So far this year, I had a total of, so far since August, September, October, August and September, perfect. October, so far, I had probably 4 in-school suspensions, as well as 3 out-of-school suspensions. And I would say that was in regards to most of the situations in school suspensions. That's like on, let me see, the consequence was, it could have been like reckless endangerment. That's like you could throw an object in class. Kids don't understand throwing a pencil in class is considered reckless endangerment. Throwing paper in class is considered reckless endangerment. So just to make the kids aware, like I stated, I like for them to read the code of conduct so they can see it for themselves. Because usually when they see it for themselves, oh, I can receive that for that. Yes, you can. You know what I mean? And again, I make the parents aware of the situation as well.
Mr. Jin, just to let you sort of close out here, if you had a follow-up question, and then we'll go to other questions.
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned that there were 4 suspensions, I believe, or whatever the number was isn't important, but how many total accusations or claims of bullying and harassment were there?
Bullying, I only had 1 so far. 1 in regards to bullying and harassment. 1.
Okay, so one claim and then 1 actual suspension regarding bullying.
No, not in regards to bullying, in regards to harassment.
Okay, so one accusation of bullying and one that resulted in a suspension for harassment.
Yes, I found it as harassment, not bullying.
Is in terms of like historically, like the past couple of years, has there been like, is that pretty standard? Like there's every accusation.
I
Is there a high
can
ratio?
only count on every year I can count on one hand how many reports I might get and find it as bullying or harassment. And I can count on one hand. So I would say honestly, that's probably good compared to across the school district of Philadelphia compared to our schools, to be only able to count on probably one hand, I could say one hand, and that's up to 5. And that's not saying that it's been 5, it's been less than 5.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, are you saying the accusations or the suspensions? My question, I guess, is like,
I mean, anybody can do
of
accusations. Anybody can go on Hipster and write something and say but once I make them aware of what I just went over, what bullying is and what harassment is, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't meet it. And they see that it doesn't meet it. So I just come up with like a safety plan on how, just being as though you brought that to my attention, I'm gonna give you a safety plan on how I'm gonna make sure that your child doesn't have to experience anything that you stated in that report.
Sure. I guess I just want to just be honest. As when I was in middle school, I was bullied, and the teachers didn't listen to me.
Okay.
And we had an incident at our previous school where our girls were being bullied, and the teachers, I think, kind of disregarded it. So I would just love it if our school took every accusation seriously and went from the position of really saying, yes, this could be it, rather than disregarding it. I'm not saying that's what you're doing.
But no, you have to. As I stated, you have to do an investigation. So within that investigation, it's not, oh, it's just getting thrown to the side. You have to do an investigation, and you have to show proof that, like I said, you got to show proof that why you feel as though it was this compared to what the report says. And that goes to the school district as well.
And so, Mr. Boyer, just so if a parent has a concern about their child being bullied or harassed, or maybe just they're not sure, but something's going on at school that is not feeling good for their kid, do you recommend that they go and put that into Hipster? Is that where they should start?
I mean, yes, I would tell them to have a conversation with me first, and then if I feel as though it deserves to go in Hipster, I'm gonna tell them, listen, go to the school district website, fill it out in Hipster, and once you complete it, it's going to come to me or Mr. Boyle, and then just know, and then once I receive it, I'm gonna give you a phone call and state, listen, I received the report. Now I'm telling you, I have 7 days to do this investigation. You will be sent the email in regards of the investigation and what I came up with, but I keep them on the process. I keep them instructed on how I'm going through the process on, I don't want to say a daily basis, but like an every other day basis. Okay, I completed the investigation. I have everybody's statement. I'm letting you know the next stage in regards to what I have to do. I usually try to close Hipster reports out within 2 to 3 days. I don't take me 7 days to do a Hipster report. So you're going to receive, and if I find it as something, now I have to give you a safety plan on how I'm gonna make sure that your child is safe, and you receive the safety plan as well.
So I want to be cognizant of time. I know David has a question, but how many more slides do you have?
Not that many.
Want to make sure we cover all the material, and then
not that
everyone
many.
gets to hear all the material, and then
Well, should I go over what the difference is from harassment and bullying? Should I go back to that?
Absolutely. I think you should.
Okay. So harassment, it states that students who engage in unwelcome verbal, written, graphic, or physical conduct relating to an individual's gender, age, race, color, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity expression, national origin, religion, disability, English language preference, socioeconomic status. Harassment does not have to include intent to harm, be direct at a specific target, or involve repeated incidents. In regards of harassment, I have to email, as you can see, it says, anytime I'm dealing with an issue with harassment, I have to email them. It says anti-harassment@philasd.org. I email them, let them know I have a harassment issue. They kind of basically guide me in regards to what steps I need to take next. And I can't proceed until they respond to my email. when it's a harassment situation. So that's the difference between bullying and harassment. Now I'll go to code of conduct. I don't know if parents want to know if we in what's a lockdown, evacuation procedures, how do we go about doing that in the school? But I also have that on the slides
Yeah, I
as
think
well.
I think that's worth sharing. It's a real concern, unfortunately, these days.
So evacuation procedure, I'm gonna just keep it posted up there. I don't want to read the whole exact thing, but as you can see, it's very detailed. It states what takes place, what it states where everybody's role is, so everybody can see. And the school safety team consists of I'm a firm believer. It's all staff, all hands on deck. But if you want to put it on a leadership basis, it's going to be Mr. Boyle, myself, our security guard, our school safety officer, Mr. Jimenez, as well as I feel as though the teachers are a part of the staff as well, because we have to guide them out of the building with the students and then take attendance to make sure all students are accounted for. And then all rooms are checked before we evacuate the building. Rally point, it says, where is the rally point? Our rally point is located on 36 and Filbert. We line up on that gate across the street going down Filbert. We have one question. Miss Mahoney?
I don't need you to get into great detail about this, but it's a concern that I don't know how it's addressed, and Finn didn't tell me that it was addressed at Nebinger a certain way. Like if there's a risk of like an active shooter or some kind of like, I know we have the metal detectors now and stuff like that. Is it
Right.
different? Like,
yeah, I have a journal what we do for active shooters too.
and do they know, like, because Finn sometimes he doesn't like pay attention. Would they all know it?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it'll be an alert will be sent. And I seen, do parents get notified? Yes, parents do get notified. Either me or Mr. Boyle is sending out a letter in regards of what took place, or we'll do a mass email. So please make sure your emails are up to date with our school, so that when we send out something, it comes strictly directly to you and you are made aware. That's why phone numbers and emails are very important. And like most of the time we send out a mass letter, we also have social media. So if you're on our social media pages, we also put information out there as well. And we also communicate to the home and school association as well. I see Mr. David he still has his hand raised. So I would like to address his question as well. I'm gonna go to the next slide though, so we can see what the lockdown procedure is. So Mr. David, you can ask your question. You can come off mute and ask your question.
Yeah, concerned about restorative conferences. I've had a conversation with one of your teachers regarding what's done at other schools. And in particular, there is one local school on Christian Street that has a student tribunal. And what they've done is they've set up a little court with children as the judges and jury and prosecutors. And they've established a code of conduct. And I'll give an example. A child was convicted of running through the hallway, and his peers sentenced him to walk the hallways 1 hour a day for 2 weeks and collect all the trash. and they considered that to be an appropriate remedy. Given that you have teachers on staff that are interested in establishing this, should I send them to you and talk about a child or student tribunal?
The school district calls it youth court. So that's, some schools does have youth court, and we had that last school year where kids had to get trained on youth court. It can be helpful in certain situations, but sometimes, say if your child has an issue with somebody that's on youth court, you don't want them judging your kid, because they're going to try to go to the most extreme measure that they can do. They can't state that a youth court can never state a kid can be suspended. No, that's only going to come from me or Mr. Boyle.
Right.
That's not coming from no youth court.
Prejudiced kid has to recuse himself. He has to say, I have a personal interest in this case. I have
But
to
yes,
step.
that's something we did have. It's not something we brought. It's not something that was brought back up this school year. It was a teacher that was willing to do that and play a part, and I helped sponsor that with them. It wasn't something that came up this year because, believe it or not, the youth court didn't do as many situations. I would have them do minor things. I'm not putting a youth court on anything that deals with a code of conduct. I'm not. Yes. And I think I'm in a position where, well, like I said, the students have a voice. Anytime the kid, they bring me their witnesses with them. So they have their group of peers that's willing to vouch for them and say, this is what I witnessed so-and-so do, as well as the other student. So I like I said, I'm willing to take all sides of the situation. I look at the whole situation, and then I come up with my decision at the end, where everyone, my main thing is safety. Every kid is still safe on both ends. Every kid still feels respected, and they feel as though I came up with a good enough plan. Now, I'm not going to tell another kid what consequence I'm giving another kid. Like, I can't tell a parent what consequence I'm giving a kid, because if the kid doesn't, I only can address your child. I'm not addressing nobody else's child with another parent, because that's not your business. So this is the lockdown procedure. Yes, go ahead.
You would be the perfect trainer for youth court. It is a reflection of the criminal system in China. In China, there are no judges. There is a facilitator instead, and the jury is made up of your neighbors. Here we would have no judges, and instead of neighbors, we'd have fellow students.
Well, the school district, they hire a person that does the training for the students and the staff that wants to be involved in that. That's something that they just started not that long ago. It's called youth court. So I can't override the person that was hired to do that training. Strictly, that's their only job. They're hired to do that training. And then everybody that gets certified, I sign off on their certification, that they completed this certification, and now they're certified to do youth court. So that's usually for some students that want to do it, but that wasn't an issue this school year.
Yeah, I see it as a great learning experience, How do we teach kids to be fair to each other is the issue I have.
Okay. How do we teach kids to be fair to each other? I'm a firm believer that our expectations that our school carries, our 3 expectations, what is respect yourself, respect others, respect SLAMS as a place of learning. If you do those 3 things at our school, to me, you'll have a perfect experience at our school. Because if you mind your own business instead of always minding somebody else's, and you respect yourself, so you carrying yourself in a respective way, and you're respecting others, and because others have different opinions, go about different races, different religions, so who are you to judge? But when you're in school, you're supposed to be in school to learn. So if you respect our respect our school as a place of learning, then yes, and as Mr. Boyle just stated in the chat, one of our mini courses last year was youth court. where kids got certified in youth court. So that could be something that we bring back maybe next quarter for our next mini courses. So it's not something that I'm not willing to do, but kids have to get certified in it. It's not, okay, yeah, we got a youth court. Now the kids, y'all hold it. No, you got to be trained in that and you got to be certified. And I sign off on all certifications. So usually it takes about 8 weeks to fully train somebody in youth court.
So, Mr. Boyer, I just want to be respectful of your time because
No problem.
We've come to the 8 o'clock hour and respectful of everyone else's time. I want to thank everybody for joining the call. It's been great to have everyone here. We really appreciate you taking time out of your evenings. You know, we've talked about what time to do this. There's no good time when you're busy parents to have these kinds of meetings. So we really appreciate everyone making time and coming here. And if you have questions, you know how to.
Yeah, here goes my information, my email, as well as I have the presentations of the information, some of the more slides that I didn't go over, as well as my telephone number with my extension. So if you want to reach out to me, please reach out to me. So that
and these slides
I can address.
Are in the advisory pretty much every
every Thursday I post it in the advisory memo with my information. So if you're not receiving the emails, please contact us so we can update you on the email list so that you can receive everything, because I would hate for you to miss out on some information that's in regards to your child, because sometimes, guess what, kids don't say what's going on, but if you're on the advisory memo, you receive it every week.
Great.
And I'll end with the quote. I learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So I hope I made everybody feel welcome and more aware of how SLAMS is ran. Again, if you need me for anything further, please reach out to me. I will get back to you. Now, if I don't get back to you within that day, just know you're going to get, I'm required that I have 48 hours to address any message, and I will get back to you within that 48 hours.
Great. Well, thank you again for joining us. I saw that Mr. Boyle was able to join us towards the end. I think it sounds like he was able to make it through bath time with his little one. So I just wanted to open it up if he wanted to say anything before we wrap things up.
Oh, it was a real challenge. Our neighbors dropped their 1-year-old and 3-year-old off on top of my own 1.5-year-old as they were locked out of their house. But everyone is now safe and sound, and there are the right number of children in my own home. Safety change at 1. Thank you, Mr. Boyer. Appreciate you taking the time this evening. If he's not the hardest working man in the school district of Philadelphia, I don't know who is. He is doing yeoman's work to keep everybody safe and to keep families aware of what is happening and what we're going to do about what is happening. So I know I deeply appreciate him. I hope you all do as well. Safety tangential. I got a 58-page report on traffic calming measures and recommendations for 36th and Warren Street. As soon as I get the okay to share that publicly, I will. So hopefully that'll be part of tomorrow's advisory memo. But we have a very detailed plan, including scouring the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation's data on how many cars allegedly go by the intersection of 36th and Warren every day. So we are optimistic that if not in 2024, in 2025, we will have physical safety improvements to 36th and Warren Street for everyone to enjoy. So that is fantastic news. Non-safety related, I want to update everyone. We had 55, that's 5 in the ones place and 5 in the tens place principals from Massachusetts at SLAMS today. There was more principals than there were SLAMS staff members in the building. This is the second year of partnering with the 1-8 Foundation to bring leaders from Massachusetts to SLAMS to wonder alongside of us of what progressive education can be. And because they brought so many people, they have doubled their contribution. So we will have $2,000 to throw at mini courses in the near future as a stipend for hosting all of that. My hope is to share a much larger mini course related pot of money in the very near future, hopefully in December, if not November. So I wanted to give everybody on the call some quick positive news on the safety front, which I think goes well with tonight's meeting, and also just some good news that people are wondering with us how to do school and paying SLAMs to do so, which is fantastic. And that's literally all I can think of to say at this hour. Obviously, if anyone has any questions or anything, I can stay on for a little bit. I know I hopped on very late, but otherwise, have a lovely evening. Maybe go Sixers, whichever Sixers are playing tonight, and such.
Great. Thank you. Thanks so much, Principal Boyle. Ending on a high note there for sure. Keep your eyes peeled for the next general meeting. Based on feedback that we got at the last general meeting, our next topic is going to be preteen and teen mental health, and we'll have some other experts from the school here to talk about that. So thanks everyone for coming, and we will see you next time.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mr. Boyer. Bye, everyone.